Real princes, like real is actually royal, and royal is actually real, and real is actually royal. Anyway, real princes. Princes have to walk on foot, while the slaves, that is, those who have been deemed to have been doing some sort of criminality, and therefore they've had to do some work for free, they've swapped places with the real princes, and they are riding on horseback. In these modern times, horseback is changed for a car, a carriage. A real prince is the son of a real king. A real king is anointed by the Lord to be a king of some territory and some amount of wealth for the benefits of many people. And he will have a son anointed by the Lord to be the son of a real king, to follow in his father's footsteps. Himself, the prince, will have to prove through time how worthy he is of the position of being this privileged son of a king. It's okay to be born into wealth. It's okay to be born into privilege. But you will have to prove your position over time through being the person who's blessed by the Lord to have that position. You might consider yourself to be a king because of your name, or a king, a prince because of your name. But many people can have a name sounding similar to a prince and or a king. But are you truly by nature a king or a prince? Even you who have a name of king and or prince, even that will be stripped from yourself. The singular and only thing you have, which is a prince name or a king name, that can be stripped from you, having proved unworthy. But a true king and or a true prince, this is someone that has through time to prove that he is a true prince and or a true king. Indeed, your household, the king's household, he will have himself a son, a prince of his household. And that prince of the household, that son of the king, is himself a prince by virtue of his father being the king. The prince is the son of the king, not the prince is somebody who may be a tenant in his father's house, and therefore his name is also Prince. What a coincidence. I'm the tenant in somebody's house, and my name happens to be like sounding like a royal position. Therefore, I'm truly the prince of the house. No. You're a prince of the house if you're the son of a king. If you're the son of the house holder, the house owner, then you are a prince effectively of the house. The house owner is effectively a king, and the son of the house owner is effectively a prince. Not my name happens to sound like a noble, therefore I'm the prince of the house. Because if you're gonna be the prince of the house, you've got to be the son of the house owner, the king of the house. Princes will walk on foot, while the slaves will take their position on horse. And the slaves, now this name, let's look at it a bit more closely. Slaves is related to Slav. A Slav is related to Eastern Europeans, like Ukrainians, like Slovaks, like Romanians, like Polish, like Russians, like Lithuanians, all from Eastern Europe. They are the Slavic race. But slave, in terms of somebody who is like despicable, who is lowly, who has to do work for free, who is whipped and stuff like that. Well, actually, I mean, like, you can have slaves or you can have the condition of being enslaved or a slave, but but potentially that was some kind of like wicked way back in the day of having somebody do some time, either by virtue of them being captured. Now there's a kind of like legitimate way to have a slave, or for a person to become a slave, and that is like a prisoner. If you get a prisoner, they have to do time, and when you do time, all your rights are taken from you. Not that I would know, because I haven't been a prisoner as yet. And so you're doing time as a slave or a prisoner. That's when you will have to do any task set to you by your captor, your master, as it were. And once you've served your prison time, then you're set for free, and hopefully you don't do prison time for all your life, for forever and ever, or for hundreds of years. So potentially this is the true nature of a slave. But a slave shouldn't be just somebody who's whipped and taken and caused to do some menial task forever. But the case of the concept of slave is potentially from that situation where a person becomes a prisoner in some form, shape or form, and is having to do some work for an indefinite period of time. And thus you'll have slaves on horseback, princes on foot, because somehow they've managed to illegitimately swap place. A king or a prince rightfully wields the power of his kingdom. See, a prince and or a king is born into the very fabric, the structure of his kingdom. He rightfully wields his kingdom. He's born into the power structure of his kingdom. That's a king or a prince. If, for instance, my daddy has a huge garden and a huge mansion, and there are many rooms in the mansion, garages, chicken huts, glass houses, my daddy, the king, and or a prince, one of his sons, me, is familiar with all the grounds of the house. And being a descendant of my daddy, the king, it's natural for me, myself, to have all of that estate upon my shoulders, to wield that estate. That's generational wealth, old money. However, a lodger or a butler would not have that responsibility, would not have that inheritance. They invariably are distinct from the true son of the king. The real prince, the royal prince, even if the lodger or the butler happens to have a similar sounding name as the noble position, it doesn't make them an inheritor of that estate. They are and always will be a lodger or a butler. They would not be naturally the son of the king or a real actual prince. A real actual prince is the son of a king. Anybody else is potentially just a lodger, even if their name happens to sound similar to the royal position. A prince is the son of a king. Wields naturally the estate of the king, not the lodger.